Today, we have some breaking news that could impact thousands of pensioners across the UK. Buckle up, because this is a story you won't want to miss. In a move that has left many feeling blindsided, the Department for Work and Pensions has announced a significant policy shift that could change the way support is delivered to our elderly citizens with care needs. For years, attendance allowance has been a lifeline for older individuals facing physical or mental challenges, allowing them to maintain a level of independence. But starting February 13, specific postcode areas in the UK will become testing grounds for what could be a nationwide overhaul of this crucial system. Welcome to Pensioners Power, your trusted source for everything you need to know about pensions, retirement planning, and financial wellness. Here, we cover the latest news, expert insights, and essential updates to help you maximize your retirement years. Whether it's understanding pension schemes, making the most of your savings, or staying informed about financial changes, you're in the right place. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an important update. Now, let's jump right into today's topic. Now you might be wondering, what does this mean for those affected? Well, the implications are enormous. This change strikes at the very heart of how our country treats its most vulnerable citizens, those who have worked hard and contributed for decades, only to find themselves caught in a whirlwind of government experimentation. Many pensioners waking up to this news are asking, what does this mean for me? For those living in the 13 targeted postcodes, attendance allowance isn't just a number on a bank statement. It's the cleaner who comes in once a week, the taxi fare to get to the hospital, and the difference between living with dignity and merely surviving. When something so integral to daily life is suddenly under review, the emotional weight is heavy. Seniors are scrambling to understand if their payments will be reduced, changed, or even removed entirely. Some fear they may have to reapply under new, potentially stricter rules, while others worry they could be automatically disqualified under new criteria, especially those with fluctuating conditions or non-visible disabilities like dementia or severe arthritis. The government insists that the goal of this change is not to reduce support, but to test a supposedly more efficient way of delivering help to those who need it most. They claim it's about integrating the system with other forms of support and modernizing processes. But critics argue this is just another way to cut costs under the guise of reform. They point to past changes that began as pilot programs and ended in widespread cuts, longer processing times, and confusion for claimants. There's a growing fear, particularly among disability and pensioner advocacy groups, that this is less about support and more about savings. After all, attendance allowance is one of the few benefits not means tested, and any move to roll it into a system with stricter financial requirements could mean thousands, possibly millions of older people losing out. The choice of the 13 postcodes for this trial raises even more questions. The DWP hasn't been entirely transparent about why these specific areas were chosen, only stating they represent a mix of urban and rural communities. Some suggest these locations were selected because they've been used for other pilot schemes in the past, making them easier to manage. Others believe it's a way to test the waters in regions where media attention might not be as intense. Regardless of the reason, the individuals living in these postcodes are now effectively test subjects in a national experiment. Their benefits, their support, their stability all are being used to assess a new system that could eventually roll out across the country, and they didn't get a say in the matter. For elderly residents already struggling with isolation, rising energy bills, and the ever-increasing cost of food and care, the timing of this change couldn't be worse. February is a harsh month for many pensioners. The cold bites harder when the heating budget is tight, and the burden of medical appointments becomes heavier when icy roads and cancelled buses make travel treacherous. Now, layered on top of all this is the uncertainty of not knowing whether their attendance allowance payments will continue, change, or disappear altogether. Some are already reporting confusion after receiving letters from the DWP filled with jargon and offering little in the way of clear guidance. Others have spoken to call centers only to be told that full details of the new system will be made available in time, but for now, they must simply wait and worry. Family members and caregivers are also caught off guard. Many rely on attendance allowance payments to supplement the informal care they already provide, using it to fund mobility aids, respite care, or transport to essential services. With no clarity on what changes are coming, some are being forced to preemptively cut back. They're skipping appointments, putting off home improvements, and cancelling plans for much-needed time off because they simply don't know if the money will still be there. The mental toll this is taking on caregivers is immense. Many are already under pressure, and this added layer of financial unpredictability only compounds the stress. Perhaps most frustrating of all is the silence from government ministers. Apart from a few lines in press releases, there has been little proactive communication from top officials, no public addresses, no televised announcements, and no dedicated helpline for those affected. It's as if the change is being quietly pushed through, in the hope that those impacted won't make too much noise, but they are beginning to speak up. From community centres to Facebook groups, from radio call-ins to letters to MPs, the backlash is starting to swell. People want answers, reassurance, and above all, fairness. They want to know that after a lifetime of working and contributing, their government will not cast them aside when they need help the most. There's also growing concern about the administrative capabilities of the DWP. Past rollouts of universal credit and personal independence payment have been plagued by delays, errors, and appeals. Will this new system fare any better? If attendance allowance is scrapped and merged into a different benefit, how long will it take for payments to be processed? Will pensioners be left for weeks or months without support while applications are reviewed? What about those who lack the digital literacy to navigate online forms or don't have access to smartphones or computers? These are not abstract concerns. They are the daily realities for many elderly people who already feel left behind by a system that seems increasingly impersonal and tech-driven. Some campaigners are calling for an immediate halt to the trial. They argue that any reform to attendance allowance should come only after full parliamentary debate, consultation with pensioners' groups, and an ironclad guarantee that no one currently receiving support will lose out. Others are pushing for more radical changes, scrap the pilot, and instead expand attendance allowance to cover more conditions and increase the payment amounts to reflect the true cost of care. They say, if the government is truly committed to supporting older people, then the answer is not cuts and confusion, it's clarity and compassion. Meanwhile, rumors continue to swirl. Some say the pilot is just the first stage in a plan to merge attendance allowance into a new version of PIP for pensioners. Others fear it will eventually be absorbed into means-tested benefits, forcing many pensioners to undergo intrusive financial assessments. The DWP denies these claims but has done little to calm fears. The lack of detail, poor communication, and rushed timeline all feed into a growing sense of distrust. And that's dangerous, because once trust in the system is lost, it's hard to regain. Seniors start to disengage, they stop applying, they fall through the cracks, and that leads to worse health, increased hospitalizations, and even premature death in some cases. At the heart of all this is a simple truth: attendance allowance matters. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity, and any attempt to change it must be handled with the utmost care, respect, and transparency. The government owes that much to the people who built this country, who worked in factories, served in wars, raised families, and paid taxes for 50, 60, even 70 years. They are not numbers in a spreadsheet, they are human beings, and they deserve to be treated as such. So, what should pensioners do now if they live in one of the affected postcodes? The first step is to not panic, but to stay informed. Write down any letters or contact numbers received from the DWP. Reach out to your local MP and ask what protections are in place. Contact Age UK Citizens Advice or your local council for advice. Keep a record of any communication with the DWP and, if necessary, prepare to lodge an appeal or complaint if your benefit is reduced or removed without proper explanation. Knowledge is power, and in a time of uncertainty, being proactive is the best defense. But beyond the practical steps, there's a wider message here, a call to society to not turn its back on the elderly. These changes are not just bureaucratic tinkering, they're a test of our national values. Are we a country that lifts up its most vulnerable, or one that lets them down when they need us most? February will pass, as all months do, but the decisions made now, the policies implemented today, will echo into the futures of millions. Let us hope they echo with fairness, decency, and justice. Thank you for watching Pensioners Power. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with others. Stay informed, stay engaged, and we'll see you in the next video with more insights on the issues that affect the UK. Take care, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for all the latest updates.